All right, we got one more to go. And then, so we got and, we got or, and now I'm going to go with the meaning of given. So this one's a little tricky, but it is one of the more important ones. The given is what your doctor focuses on. Your doctor is always worried about the given. Given what? Doctor, something ails me. Really? Let's talk about that. And then the givens start. They start asking you questions, and those questions are about the givens. Like right now, when you walk in, you're part of the entire population. As soon as they start asking you questions, they're trying to wean you down. Like, okay, I can't deal with you coming from the population. Within the population, who are you? And so it begins like, no, you don't belong here. You don't belong. It's a process of elimination. But finally, they squirrel you down into a small particular group. Okay, now that you're in this particular group, I can focus a little more. So the given is a different thing. The meaning of given indicates that we're changing the sample space. And again, remember the pop-up is the population. Sample space is the population relative to what has been discussed prior to asking this question. And the symbol given for this is a vertical line. So the way this looks is this. So what this statement says, probability of event A given sample space is now defined by event B. So this is a change in definition of the sample space. And the order here matters, incredibly so. Does anybody remember the Alice in Wonderland? Remember the one character in Alice in Wonderland was the Mad Hatter. But the Mad Hatter was using this statement in all his statements, just about. The Mad Hatter would reverse these two to make fun. It was like as a matter of fact, Alice Carroll was, lo and behold, a mathematician. So the person who wrote Alice in Wonderland was a mathematician and a logician. So again, these things are used on logic. So in fact, if you were to go to law school, you would have to learn about this statement. So because lawyers use them all the time, because it does matter what comes first, what comes second, because you're defining the relation between the two. Okay. So the Mad Hatter, I can't even remember one line from Mad Hatter, but he would say one thing and then make the next statement, but then reverse them. And then if you listen carefully, it would have totally different meaning. So let's look at an example. So this one requires a lot more attention. Given that a person is a Democrat, so I'm going to use the word given here, what is the probability that they are in the age group 40 plus? Okay, so notice what's statement there. What is my sample space in this question? Or population? Like, what is it that creates my whole? What is my whole here? What is this question about? Is it about all 166 people? Democrats only. So what happens here is this. This vertical line is about to separate my sample space from the question I'm asking. So where should the Democrat go? Here or here? First position or second position? That's right. Democrat goes here. And now the question is, what is the probability that they are in the age group 40 plus? So the question is about being 40 plus, given that you're only talking about Democrats. That's what this is about. Okay. So again, we're also going to be running into a political season next year. Look careful at all the statements they make. They're also in this category. It's very subtle, so subtle. So now all I need to do is, okay, I'm going to calculate this. But what is my whole now? Am I dealing with all 166 people in this question? No. How many people am I dealing with in this question now? How many am I dealing with? That's right, 73. In other words, see this entire table? It's been reduced to just this column. This question has killed that entire table. That entire table does not exist anymore. The only thing that exists is this column, nothing else. So notice the total is 73, and notice how many meet the criteria of 40 plus then out of this 73. What is it? 22. This one. That's all that meet that criteria. So, so I always mention this when I talk about this in the. How many of you heard again the O.J. Simpson trial? Yeah, right. So I'm assuming most people have heard of the O.J. Simpson trial. So remember, before the O.J. Simpson trial, there was no such thing as Judge Judy. Didn't exist. Everybody know who Judge Judy is? What about the other guy, Judge Wapner? I think it's what, Judge Wapner. Judge Judy is the most famous. What's another famous judge? Now I don't ever see these anymore, but Judge Judy was the first, the OG. What is it? Wapner was another one, not that popular. Was another one. Anybody know who else? Anyway, so all these judge shows were due to the O.J. Simpson trial. And why were they so into this? Because the O.J. Simpson trial was the first time ever that a court proceeding was televised live. I mean, live, like everybody could see everything. And then they got to see how the inner workings of our courtroom actually worked. And then they started hearing what the lawyers would say. And all of a sudden, these statements that lawyers use started to pop up, and people were starting to question, goes, wait a minute, what are they saying? And then they would, just like it all of a sudden became like a sports thing. At the end of every trial, every day, these people would diagram all the statements like some kind of football game out there and try to make sense of what they were trying to say, because people didn't really understand these statements. So like one of the most famous statements was that O.J. Simpson was definitely known to be abuse his wife. Like he was arrested for abusing his wife. That was plainly known, and it was a court record, it was part of court record. But the question was this, that they're trying to go, if you, let's say, were battering a wife, that's not the real question. The question is, what's the probability you would, in the end, kill your wife? That was a big question. So it was this, okay, known this, known that. But then the defense broke this around. Suppose that you killed your wife. What's the chance you were a wife batterer? So the two questions seem to be connected, but they're not connected. They're two different questions. They're changing the sample space with two. So that's what the Mad Hatter, all of a sudden people started getting confused because the defense would come in and reverse everything and show a different probability. Anyway, so this one is tricky because of that. So there are many ways to say given without actually saying that word. This is important so you recognize when in everyday language, that is the meaning. Let me restate the probability and calculate example 3. So I'm going to restate all of these, but it's the same question. It is example 3. Okay. If a person is a Democrat, what is the probability of being 40 plus? So this one is the one above. So that is exactly this question right here. If a person is a Democrat, meaning assume they are, it's no longer into question that they're a Democrat, just pretend like they are. So now that that's out of the way, we know we're only talking about Democrats. Here's another one that you see a lot of. Of the Democrats. Notice this question doesn't even have the word probability in it, but this is how it would be stated just in plain English. So of the Democrats, again, this is what this is saying is given. If a person is Democrat, that's implying given. And then what proportion? But what is a proportion? Nothing more, of course. the way we're doing proportions, it's a probability, right? We're sticking within 0 and 1. So for our purposes, the way we're using it, it is a probability. Okay, so that's another way of stating this. A Democrat is chosen at random is the probability of being 40 plus. So notice a Democrat is choosing at random. So when you see that sentence, does it imply that I'm dealing with all 166 people or only Democrats? That's right. So it's a given. So notice that the reason we need this statement is because the table, notice the table is about all. This is our population. So when we're now, because the table is the only thing that we're looking at, that's the only place the information comes from, then we need to make this distinction because this is signaling that we're changing our thread. That's what this is about. So think of it this way. So let's question real quick, and we're going to take a break. If a person is chosen at random, who is in the age group 40 plus, what is the probability that they are a Democrat? See if you can answer this question and also write it out. Let me know when you think you got it. So if a person is chosen at random, who's in the age group 40 plus, notice if a person is chosen at random, we're just using a person at random, but a further description, who is what? Who is in this age group. So now I'm further describing who this random person is. So in this case, what's the given? 40 plus. Because I'm describing, if a person is choosing at random, and what about this person who is in the age of 40 plus? So this is describing person chosen. But it's known that they're chosen. We know that this person is 40 plus. The question is, now that we fully described this person, what is the probability that they are Democrat? So now this is what we're after. Okay. So this was your given. This is what we're after. We're only discussing people that are 40 plus. Okay. So again, to do that, then see if you got this backwards, see if you can then get the probability. Okay. Well, I'm going to assume that you got, so there's only 62 people that meet the criteria of 40 plus, of which only 22 are Democrats. Right. You'll notice that this question is the backwards of this one. And you'll notice again, let me ask you this, has the numerator changed in these two questions? And the answer is no. Both questions have the 22 in it. But what's the thing that has been changed? So again, there's this first question, the Democrat was given. In this question, 40 plus was given. So what's the only, and notice the two answers. What's the only difference between these two answers? Yeah, Johnny. Good. And why is the denominator different? Good. Why isn't the numerator different? Yeah, go ahead, Ballard. And that's right. The 22 is both Democrat and 40 plus because that's what this question is about. All we're asking about, the only people that can meet this criteria is both Democrat and 40 plus. What this question does is we've taken care of everybody here now is a Democrat. Forget about it. It's assumed. So these 22 people are definitely Democrats. The question we have is, can we lump the 40 plus along with the Democrats and only 22 people meet this criteria? But this other question, it's 40 plus, is the assumed. That's all we're dealing with is the 40 plus. So, but we're questioning is, can we lump in the Democrat? And of course, just like the other one, the only way we can lump these 22 people are the only ones that can meet both criteria. So that's why the numerator is not changing. The numerator is staying fixed because that's all we have that meet both. That's the only way we can meet both is if we look at the and. So there's a formula associated with this, but at this point in the class, I really don't even want to use it because we're not going to use it for, if we were going to use this further for sampling processes, then I would put the formula. Really what I want you to understand is how to read that table and also how to read these statements. And then you can actually connect them, use the appropriate symbol to connect the two statements and or again. So we got here, of the people who are 29 to 40, notice of meaning we're only talking about this group of people. So notice of the people, of meaning, hey, we're only talking about this group. And then here comes the meaning of the people who what's true about these people who are the age group 29 to 40. So this is a given. Right? This is a given because that's all we're talking about. This question is not about anybody else. Of the people who are in the age group 29 to 40, what proportion are Republicans? So this would be, okay, the given, what's the given? 29 to 40, that's all we're talking about. And what are we after? What proportion are Republicans? That's all we care about. So now, because of that, I'm only going to be interested in 29 to 40. That's all. Come over here, 29 to 40. There's only 49 people that meet the criteria, 29 to 40. So this is my given. So this entire table has now been reduced to this. Nothing more. So 49 meet this criteria. And then I have to meet the only thing left is what group meets both 29 meets this group 29 and Republican. So I got to look for 29 and Republican, 29 to 40 and Republican, and only these 19 meet that criteria. So the probability is just going to be 19 divided by 49. That's all.